My name is David Truth. Thank you very, very much for attending. Those of you who know me, know me. Those of you who don't, I'm the president of NYPAY. Can you all hear me?
No, yeah, it's Maria. So
Yeah, well, I'm gonna move. He says I got a cord thing going on here. Well, hold the line. I don't need the line. So, I just wanted to thank effusively Provision for helping us, for making this thing possible, making this wonderful event possible. And I want us to begin Asiela, yeah, you know, to yeah, to give a little bit about and about the event.
hello, can you hear me? Okay, I'll try to be loud. I am Italian, so
Really?
yes. He practices my name few time and came almost right. I am
Say that for Mike.
Could everybody stop?
Yeah, I agree, bro. It's like in a movie. Sorry.
okay. So my name is Raffaella Bianchi. I am Italian. I am the Group Chief Revenue Officer for Covision. And Covision, what is Covision? Not many of you might know us. So Covision is a CX tech company. So a company focused on technology, obsessed about customer experience. We are a multinational company. This is our US headquarters. So welcome here. Thank you for being here today. And I want to thank you, David and NYPAY, for organizing this event this evening and bringing together so many leaders of different areas to discuss one element that is very key and dear to our heart. How AI and Gen AI is revolutionizing the customer service. I think nowadays this topic is very important. So we know that we are in a moment where AI and Gen AI is really pivoting the way we serve and interact with our customers. And I think it's very important that we all discuss how to bring this technology into our interaction with customers in a responsible way. So Covision, at the heart of what we do, put this responsibility on how to use technology and nowadays AI and Gen AI at the center of what we do. And I think many of you already observed our demo, the one that didn't at the end of the event. If you are curious enough, you can go there. We had a way to balance the technology and the human touch in a very responsible way. What do we mean by that? That it's important that the technology enhance the way we interact with customers, don't overcome and don't take over the human touch of it. So in our solution, we always have a human supervising what's going on with the artificial intelligence or with the Gen AI. And by doing that, I think it's important that we keep the customer at the center and that we keep personalization at the center of what we do. Because only, and I think you are in an industry where personalization and touch and empathy is crucial, only by keeping this customer at the center and personalizing the interaction, we create this moment of truth and loyalty and trust that can bring them closer to us. So today, enjoy the discussion. We have a group of panelists. I'll pass by to David that will introduce what's going on. And welcome again for being here with us. Enjoy.
Well, I mean, yeah, all of this you know what's going on, but you can guess right. So anyway, very quickly, again, great thanks to Covision. I'll tell her, my wife told me not to tell jokes because I'll get in trouble, but that's hard. So I will tell one little joke, just don't tell Jade, my wife. So when I pick up a call or start to talk with a customer care person, then I get past the bot or the buttons. I usually say, well, hi, how are you? Things going on. However, when Jade picks up, the first thing she says is, I want to speak to your manager. So that kind of gives an example of the experience that many people have with customer care today. And what's really cool about what I've seen here, and I'm not an expert in this, but it seems to help balance that, as I said in some of my many LinkedIn posts, kind of the customer experience with the need to control the P&L. So we'll have a discussion about that. We have a wonderful panel. things are changing. Books like this could change things in a good direction. And enjoy, have a great time talking, look at the demos, and I'll pass it over the estimable Maria Zalbet.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm just the moderator for this event. I'm Maria Dalbeer. I'm a partner at Further Advisory. We are a boutique strategy consulting firm operating at the intersection of payments and banking, insurance and healthcare, with a focus on the questions of technology, go-to-market, and program transformation. And we definitely been looking at the ways in which customer experience is impacted by new technology models like AI. And so just facilitating this conversation. Wonderful colleagues. Get their first book questions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Broadbent. I'm a senior analyst at eMarketer, which is a market research firm. I cover the payments industry, really anything consumer-facing payments, from credit cards, BNPL, mobile wallets, to how AI affects customer service, and everything in between. Really focusing on the customer experience throughout the payments industry, and really how you try to help companies, figure out how to implement technologies in a way that helps customers throughout the journey.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marcia Tal. I'm the CEO of Tal Solutions and the founder of the Positivity Tech platform. Prior to being an entrepreneur, I was an intrapreneur, meaning I spent 25 years at Citigroup and founded an organization within Citigroup that became a global function and then ended up in more than 30 markets with thousands of people. The name of that organization was Decision Management, which was really the blend of decision sciences and marketing. At the end of the day, my background is in quantitative disciplines, bringing analytic discipline to all the drivers of the P&L. So you might say, what do I have to contribute to customer service? Just one or two thoughts. You never really can begin any business solution, in my opinion, unless you're first listening to what the customers are saying or what your clients are saying. And so in my role, whether it was when I was at Citi or post-Citi, it's very important to be listening to what it is that your stakeholders are saying. Those could be customers, members, employees, vendors. I bet everyone has something to say. To put it in perspective, there's more than 100 billion customer interactions that take place just in the United States alone. That's where my passion lies. And the Positivity Tech platform basically was set up to ingest the actual words and narratives of what customers are telling us and build algorithms using that language as variables in order to be predictive in what's going to happen in the future. Close by saying, if you believe that customers tell you what they're going to say before they do it, then you would understand that what customers tell you is in fact predictive data. So I'll pass it on. Thank you.
My name is Fabio Sattolo. I am the Chief People and Technology Officer of Covisian. And as my job title says, I'm in charge of managing and developing the technology that we have, the one that we have just shown here and in the demo, and also for the human resources part. And we have decided to bring together these two functions because we believe that in this moment, bringing together technology and people is the key in order to make sure that the artificial intelligence and the technology in general can be used in order to bring value to the final customer. And as Raffaella was saying at the beginning, we are obsessed with the customer experience. So when the generative AI came up a few years ago, we have tried to identify a way to leverage this new technology in order not just to save money and to reduce and add an impact on the P&L, but also to bring some value to the final customer so that the final user can really leverage the technology and the generative AI. So I'm really excited to take part in this discussion with you.
So we basically sort of had a pre-discussion, and we talked about having sort of a conversation around three specific areas. One is really making sure that we're level set on what we mean by customer service, the impact of AI. Then we'll talk a little bit about really digging into the customer-facing perspective, and then sort of last look at the where we're going from here. So just to level set, I wanted to say ask you guys to, you've been focused on building a customer service platform that is focused on the use of AI. How would you say, as you've going about that journey, thought about, and maybe Marsha weigh in on this too, what are the most important drivers of business value with customer service, and how are they being shifted? So what extent are we being shifted by AI now? Just stop. Do you want to try out? I'll try again. Okay.
Let's say that, as I said before, artificial intelligence can be really useful.
Just be louder.
Louder. Okay. How can you hear me? Okay, that's
Stay. It's back. Maybe it was just a big sure.
So I said the artificial intelligence can be really useful in order to bring value to the customer. Many times when a new technology comes up in the market, basically everybody start thinking how they can save money with it. Okay? And this is the first thought that all the CEO have in mind, because they believe that the automation and just using technology can help to speed up the processes and do some automation on several tasks. But I believe that we need to address the usage of technology within the solution that we developed and the way that we adopt it, considering also the fact how we can use it in order to bring the real value to the customers. So in contact center, in the customer management space, we see many times that when people need to speak with the brands, they usually cannot find the right answer, because we try to deflect the call and put some technology between the final customer and the human agent that needs to or wants to answer the call for the customer. So if you cannot hear me, you can raise your hand. You need to be really close. And so basically, what happened is that many times we see that this artificial intelligence has been used in order to try to avoid people to speak to people. And we believe that this is not the right way to approach that. For sure, we can use technology for several things, like we can help the agent, the human agent, and also to have all the information that they need in order to serve better the customer. We can also use to directly answer to the customer, but we need always to keep under control the experience that the final customer, as Marsha was saying before, we need to know what is the pain point of the customer, how we can serve them, and what is the thing that they need to do. And we believe that not always the artificial intelligence itself can solve the problem. So we believe that keeping the human in the loop is the key in order to make sure that we can leverage the artificial intelligence and this technology, save money without having a negative impact on the customer experience.
I think the only thing that I would add in regard to business value, right, is the way I think about this is there's data that's flowing through all of your systems and technologies, and this data will create future value. So you might ask, what is the future value of this data? And it can be kind of realized through improved risk management. It can be realized through growth opportunities and future engagements with consumers. And it also can be used in ways in which you can flag emerging risks. So if you think about it that way, right, and you think about, for example, flagging for emerging risks, then you have the opportunity to have risk reduction. If you think about improved engagement, saving customers, you have the opportunity for business growth and revenue. And then I think, as Fabio said, all of the operational efficiencies that are realized ultimately will enable the P&L to be reduced in terms of cost and expense.
I guess the only thing to follow up on that in terms of this, that was a great identification of drivers. When you are engaging, particularly bringing your solution, are there particular targets that your customers are asking as they're looking to deploy the Colizine solution, or are you driving those conversations to even promote the thinking, like the readiness to rethink the value proposition of customer service enabled by supported by AI?
Let me try with this one. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, that's perfect. So let's say that we are starting from, usually we do not start on what is the proposal that we can do on how we can use our technology. We try always to listen to the customers and to identify which are the use cases and the pain point that the customer might have on a specific industry. And obviously, depending on the industry, you might have different pain points or different use cases that can be addressed. And we need always to start with a customer-centric view. And we can leverage all the data that we have and all the technology that we are providing in order to collect all the information that we need in order to understand which is the real pain point for the customer or the real need for the customer, in order to adapt the solution in order to solve the problem. Not always just using the technology itself, but focusing on solving the issue that the customer might have.
In that journey, is there an element of readiness that needs to be in place with the client, who's going to be using our solutions, data readiness, or is it something that the act of going down this path causes them to, increase their readiness to engage in new ways around things like loyalty, risk reduction?
Well, let's say that there are several things that are needed, and the readiness is depending mainly, apart from, let me say, technological parts, saying that the system and the way of integration of the system can be integrated together, but this is something that can be technically managed. Basically, is more the readiness of the approach on be able to use data and technology in order to have an impact on the processes and not just use the technology itself. So many times we see that many customers are struggling to have all this kind of information across all the different processes, and they are not really used to deal with them because we have possibility to collect all the data, but without the purpose of why we need to use the data and use cases, you do not know what to do with the data that you have. So I believe that the readiness is depending more on the willingness of the company to start thinking of technology as the leverage to reach a specific point, starting from listening to the customer in order to understand which are the pain point, and then use the technology to solve the issue.
Marshall,
Yeah, I was just going to add that in addition to business readiness, though, I think something we really have to think about is consumer readiness for this, which I'm not sure is on par with business readiness. Of course, businesses want to implement this for the millions of benefits it can create in addition to cost savings. But consumers, I think, are a little terrified of AI right now still. And we have to really get over that hurdle. I think there was a Gartner survey I was looking at in prepping for this, and it said 68% of customers would prefer companies don't use AI in the customer service experience. In addition to that, which I think is a scarier data point, is more than 50% of customers from the same Gartner survey would switch companies if they knew their company was only providing AI-powered customer service. Customers right now really are scared of AI. They want to be able to talk to humans. I think the top reasons for this is fear of not being able to talk to a human at all, A. fear of getting inaccurate information. And then there's also the idea that this means they're cutting people's jobs and just fear of AI job replacement overall in general. Not to say that consumers won't be ready in the future along everything. And they might now know that you can have AI-powered solutions with like a Covision where there's a human there at the exact same time you're talking to them as well. But it's really consumer education and getting consumers ready for this experience as well without alienating them. And I think it's really going to be core moving forward.
Let me add something because this is really interesting. When we start using the artificial intelligence within our call center, we have the same problem with the agents because they are human. And like the consumer are scared by the artificial intelligence, we were facing also the agent that they didn't trust the artificial intelligence as their colleagues. So they stopped delegating the activity to the artificial intelligence, and they were looking at the description in order to understand if the artificial intelligence was doing the job in the same way they were doing. And so they didn't just have an improvement in productivity because they were not just answering another call while the artificial intelligence was dealing with them, because they were just following the artificial intelligence, because they needed to build the trust that the artificial intelligence were capable to manage the conversation instead of them. And so this is something that required times for the human to get the trust of the artificial intelligence. And I believe that would be the same with the consumer. And I believe that we, as, let me say, actors of this space, we have the responsibility to use the artificial intelligence and this technology in general with the right approach. Because we have seen too many times that following the need to save money and to have a good impact on the P&L, we have decided to use the technology without taking consideration the impact and the final customer experience. And so this has ended up to have this feeling about the population that the artificial intelligence might be something that will create a better experience. But I believe that if we use that in the proper way, I believe that this peer will be deleted, and we will end up to use the artificial intelligence in the proper way.
If I may ask, if you all could just talk a little louder, I apologize, but it's difficult to hear back here.
We will try to do that. You need to stay really close to the microphone.
So I want to pick up on the point that you just made and also come back to the point about learning and even your original concept of a positivity index. What are some of the ways, if we need to take a gradual approach, and that's the message that I'm hearing more, is that we need to take a use case driven gradual approach, build trust in multiple directions, organizational, individual with those who are on the front lines working with customers, and also with the customers themselves. What are some of the more positive, like data-driven use cases that bring actual value to customers, not just efficiency, that you have found, or the indicators using data that you have found, Marcia, in using the platform that you originally built, that are likely places to start to build that confidence, the sort of petit a petit, like little by little, versus what I'm hearing is taking a wholesale approach is a recipe for potential alienation of your customers, which is exactly not what you want in this market environment, or creating resistance in those who actually need to get engaged with the technology and make it effective.
Well, first of all, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Maria. A couple of thoughts. What I heard as I was listening is this is definitely an evolution, right? And there's many dependencies in this evolution. And I think it's fascinating. We talked about the customer, we talked about the agent, we're talking about the business. Now, just to add in this evolution that has to take place is also with the data itself and what it can tell you or what you can learn from it. So first, this is messy data, right? It's data that
the term that a lot of people use is unstructured data, but it definitely can be structured. And then once it's structured, then you can identify the themes, the topics, the things that are most relevant for different reasons. And, some examples of things that I think would be less threatening as a use case, for example, is when people are seeking online help. So how many times, and it's probably comes up in your data as well, how many times do people begin in a digital platform? They come up to some friction point, and then all of a sudden they go to a different channel like the phone because they can't seem to resolve the issues, right? This is something that actually AI, at its basic core competency, would probably be able to do better if you connected the dots to exactly what the themes were and where the operational breakdowns were. And that was translated and prioritized from a technology standpoint into the platform itself. That's a very simple case. A more difficult case could be if you're credit cards, right? Fees and interest. Because when people are really upset about interests or fees that have come onto their statements that they don't understand where they came from, they don't want to be talking to a machine, right? As much as we will make them sound like humans, at the end of the day, they need the empathy and the trust that somebody will hear them first in terms of the frustration around the fees and interest, as an example. And that might be one that's much more complex, that if they thought they never get to a human, then they might take their business elsewhere. So those are just some of my thoughts.
Maybe a build on this is really what we're getting at is what are you seeing customers actually want? Is there a thing? What would they want from AI? We talked about that frustration moment. What's the indications that you're seeing or that you guys are seeing in your work that is actual driver of customer value?
One thing customers want, and they don't even know AI can help with it necessarily, is just changing customers are really changing what they demand in the space in terms of speed. Customers want things done faster. They want answers quickly. And AI is a way that can help with that. In terms of basically customer support and just in terms of payments and everything, everyone wants things done faster and quicker. Another aspect is customers want things personalized. And so if you're in a mobile app chatbot, that cannot be that personalized. There's a few banked answers you will get. Customers really want things personalized to what they want, which is something AI can definitely help with. I think another really interesting, because I took an approach earlier of how the fears and issues that AI can create in the space, but really it can bring so much positive impact to the customer experience. When they are ready for it, I think a really interesting thing AI can bring to it is customer service right now is very reactive. The experience starts when a customer, I think AI can really be a game changer, is make it more of a proactive experience where if the bank or the credit card issuer sees a problem, whether it's as simple as like a billing address has been entered wrong or just a missed payment or something along those lines, they can go ahead and message the customer. We get more proactive, started before the customer even has to go to them, message them at that point. So it can really be a game changer in the customer experience in terms of personalization, speed, and just the more reactive approach.
I just want to, just to add, and I'm going to pass it to Fabio, is just the content generation. The proactive content generation follows also what you're saying. So using kind of these outcomes from the customer service platforms and putting them up front into the content to educate so that then customers won't be as fearful.
Grazie, Cash. Grazie.
And again, probably because if we're in this room, we're not the average consumer, but I'm actually terribly disappointed by AI experience, what I think should be, right? Any chatbot, I just had this, I was trying to figure out some question with a, whatever, air, like book it. And it just kept putting me in the loop. It was in the loop. I actually think how this AI is, it's like overpromise and underdeliver. And so I don't know of any good experience that I had that I'd rather deal with the chatbot than human, not because I want to add the thing trust, but just because I get stuck in these loops. So I wonder, why hasn't it, if it's so good, why hasn't it realized its potential? Is it how it's being implemented? Is it just not smart enough yet? So I'm at the naturally underwhelmed. I'm not afraid. I just don't.
And to add on to that, I think he mentioned people don't want to deal with it, and I think they've gotten a bad impression because of all the horrible bots you've had before generative AI and large language models. Just stupid bots that are doing good. So that's what they think. Has anyone really implemented? Because I use ChatGPT all the time. I love it. Has anyone implemented that level?
I'd like to ask you to and go back and see it.
Now, this is exactly the point. When the first artificial intelligence came up with the bot that we all know, there will be another promise. So everybody starts saying, okay, we can use that to do anything. And everybody tried to use this bot to answer all the questions from the customer. We were reading statistics saying, okay, in a few years, and I'm talking about 5 or 6 years ago, 80% of a call will be answered by artificial intelligence in a few years. And that wasn't true, because there is something that cannot be answered, because it's not just a matter of be capable of giving an answer. It's a problem of system integration within all the system where the information are, and not the bot, if it's not integrated with all the system, cannot give you the answer. So now, when the generative AI comes up, everyone starts saying they're more cautious compared to the previous bot, because first of all, everybody sees that this technology is really impressive. I mean, we are all tried GPT, and it seems like speaking with a human. But again, if you start dealing a little bit with this kind of technology, you find out that it's anyway a statistic system. And so it's not just providing you the answer of reality, it's just taking a lot of words and try to combine them in a statistic, in the best way that they can sound to you. So it's not just the answer they are looking for. So anyway, these systems are really fascinating, because they can generate words and sentences, and they can talk to us in a really human-like way. But they are not human, and they are not, there is no intelligence behind them. It's just a statistic process. See?
So we're using it to better identify problems and issues, but if you've then offloaded to a manual process, so do you guys also work with the company to automate solutions too? Or is this really about issue identification or addressing the call as opposed to also fixing the issue, underlying system issues? Do you guys get involved with that too?
What you mean? Can you just explain a little bit?
So if I have a problem with my bill, or I'm going through an application flow and I'm getting kicked out, or I can't go forward, you don't want to have to go to a manual process to fix that offline. Does this really only work in automated processes, or do you also help companies with, once they identify process flow issues, automating process flows?
Well, the process automation is
Fixing the root cause.
Exactly. You need to work on the system that has created the cause, basically. But let me say, we are focusing on making sure that the experience that you are having with the problem, in order to solving the problem, might be a good experience for you. Because the problem, of course, you can also work on the root cause, because if something is malfunctioning on the system because the data was not correct, or the system was not working, or there was something like an electrical fault or a network problem, whatever, and then you get an incident and you cannot solve your problem. But this is, let me say, from a technological point of view, there are several reasons for which might be a problem with the processes we are facing through every day. But the point is, try to help people to solve the problem with a good experience, using the technology in order to address each single touch point of the customer in the proper way. Let me use some example. For example, if I need to receive a loan, for example, there is several things that I need to do. For sure, I need to give some information in order to allow the bank to define the profile and define the risk profile that I need to have. Then I need to deal with the different type of financial product that I can receive, and then I need to understand without the detail of the financial product. We cannot imagine to have the artificial intelligence to manage all these steps of the process, because the process is too complex to be managed by the artificial intelligence at this stage. But maybe in few years we will have an artificial intelligence that will be capable to manage all these steps. But today is not in this way. So in order to solve the issue and to make sure that the journey of the customer is a good journey, we need to use the artificial intelligence in the steps that can be used. For example, this you need to ask a question.
Well, I actually just kind of geared to, I can even chance a case study, because basically like now on most websites, you have FAQs, no chat box. So in terms of the artificial generative AI, because you already had the AI, it's ubiquitous throughout Gmail, which all lights drops all, not especially if you're the King's English versus and then that's that's just okay. Yeah, but when you got family on one side, it's a pain there, whatever. But are there any case studies? This is where I'm sorry, beyond maybe I didn't catch your Grace. Are there the case studies that actually you have done that will compare all of that versus where Jared from the AI can start to add the form, so therefore as it gets better process, it will develop to your system. So it has different gaps, which that I get. So it's only as good as the term WYSIWYG is whatever you put in is what you get out of. I correct. Have you done any case studies comparing the advantages of utilizing and applying generative AI versus all these other tools that it kind of pulls the whole synergy together? Had over time grow up. So are we there yet, or am I kind of way trying to down the road here in my goal process?
Your thought process is great. I think we're not there yet, is the simple answer. When I was talking about, and this goes back to a previous question as well, when I was talking about all the great benefits AI can bring in terms of personalization, in terms of being more proactive, that is down the line. I don't think the technology is really there yet due to just it needs to be developed more. There's still inaccuracies, hallucinations, biases, and things along that nature. But this is all in the near-term future. I just don't think we're there yet. So if we look at financial service companies that have implemented AI chatbots for customer service, top of mind for me is Klarna, the BNPL provider. They've been a huge proponent of AI implementation and have really reduced their workforce because of it and all these things. I don't think it's bringing everything together. Theirs is still just a single chatbot for customer service. I think we can bring everything together and really have all these great benefits talked about, but I think we're still a few years out from that.
Okay, so we're tied to the very curve. Now that's where it's getting.
I mean, I can tell you that from an engagement I'm doing with a client, I can't say who, but we're working on an issue where there's an operational process around with an end customer, and it's a complex, like you're talking about. It's an onboarding process that's stitching together a bunch of things. It's a new line of business, and we're looking at the way in which AI could help speed up that process, but you have to combine it. You have to think through what I appreciate the way that folks are talking about this. You actually have to map the end objective of the journey, not just the use of AI. It's not technology centered. You have to think about the operational changes. I think that's why I was starting the conversation with what are the organizational readiness? Because one of the recommendations we're starting to make is if you are building a new process where there is weak understanding of the operational realities that are needed to operate at scale, you need to bring your best human SMEs together to redefine the process. At the same time, you're looking at how technology and data through AI can smooth pieces of it so that you can have the parts that are the bridges that need to be built, maybe using RPA, maybe using other things that can stitch together a journey that is cohesive, that is intelligent, that is not just about responding to the question and leveraging the data. I think AI, what we're seeing is the opportunity to have it be a critical piece, but not the whole solution yet. So, Elise, and I'm curious if you have your poster child customer where you're like, this is the one who has figured out the most powerful use case. That would be an interesting thing of what makes it so successful, and what are the sort of pitfall moments where you're like, oh, why didn't they?
Let's say that first of all that we have millions of calls that are managed by AI currently. Okay, because it's not true that all the experience that we have with the bot are not so positive. The point is that you need to choose the right use cases where you can use the AI to fulfill the purpose. So if you try to use the AI for everything, you will end up to create a mess. If you select the use cases and you apply the technology for what can be used for, then you will end up to have the problem solved and the customer happy, and you have probably saved money. So this is why we have tried to develop a solution that will allow us to use the AI considering the power that it has. Okay, and we have the power to decide how much AI we want to use within the process. But we keep the human in the loop so that the human would decide whether the AI can be used or not in order to fulfill the question for the customer.
Kind of back to the script. It's a bit like jigsaw puzzle, but building blocks at the same time. So cut that analogy.
So I have a question there.
Yeah, a couple in the back. Why don't you start back? I actually just wanted to, what I think is that it's almost like two different things moving together. So you have, it's catching up in a way where you need the prompt engineering and the AI to understand the various prompts, and you need experts who are able to know specifically the type, how to tailor the type of prompts that you need in order to generate the type of response. And to be able to tell AI, well, you know what, I need more details with this specific thing, or I need more information on this specific area. So the AI is learning based on those prompts. And at the same time, you also need that expertise that also needs to flow into it so that you can have almost the two things moving together, where from a customer standpoint, all these various chatbots, it's still all very neat from that standpoint. But I think that what's going to happen is that you're going to see the two things coming together. And at some point, there's going to be almost like a merge in those two things, thereby causing the precision that you need in terms of the responses to the customer, because you now have sufficient data on the situation in terms of the expertise. That's just there. Yeah, that's a very good observation. I think that the knowledge, the need to build the knowledge and refine the knowledge is central to you get an example of the customer service person watching the AI to see whether they were doing the right thing. In effect, they're training and refining the AI, and to your point, the technical prompt engineering competency to reform.
As long as we would not have prompting engineering that are done by artificial intelligence, that we'll have artificial intelligence that we train artificial intelligence. So you could adapt that everybody would be chasing with the artificial intelligence. But it's really interesting because this is exactly the way that we are seeing that. I mean, there is a change also in the way that we are using the technology. And this is why also the reason, because I'm in charge of also for human resources, because prompting is the new way of dealing with the artificial intelligence. And it's something that I don't say everybody can do, but it's much easier to deal with the artificial intelligence, to try to, let me say, program the artificial intelligence in order to do something. And this is the way that we are trying to introduce that within the processes. Because as long as we have a human that can deal with the artificial intelligence to explain to artificial intelligence how to behave in order to give the answer or the result, this would be more useful for solving the problem. But we need anyway to have someone that is still using the intelligence, because the artificial intelligence, as I said, so far is not that intelligent yet, but this is why we need to have the human that is supervising the things. And of course, we can use all the data also on the feedback of the result of the artificial intelligence in order to get better and to train the artificial intelligence in order to behave in a better way.
There's a couple of questions of maybe standing in the back and then
I was asked about that, Trim. You said you've had millions of calls and fairly applying machine learning or learning algorithms to this. Fact is stranger than fiction, especially with human beings. What surprised you from some of these learnings and feedback loops that you found? Acing, tonality. What have you learned from this volume of data about use?
Well, it's really depending on different cases. The point is that we have identified that the FAQ, basically, that we think are the most frequent question of the customer. This is not always true, because looking at what the people are asking really and reading the conversation, you end up to find out that maybe the topic that you have identified is not the real problem of the customer. Because maybe the customer is asking a question and you have to figure out where to put it in your tree of the decision tree, but maybe the problem is something different. So, for example, if there is a customer that is asking you something, it's not just because many times he doesn't even know which is the question that he has to do, because he's just confused. And so this is where the human part is really interested, because before understanding the question, you need to speak a lot with the customer in order to understand what the problem is. It's not so easy to define which is the answer. This is why it's not always useful to use the frequently asked question in order to provide the answer. And this is why the bot that we are used to, the previous generation, was not giving us the right answer, because they were trying to understand which was the topic of the question, but it was not so easy to understand that. So they were giving us the answer to a topic that they thought it was the right topic, but it was not. Okay, so this is what we have learned. That listening is really important in order to understand which is the proper answer to give to the customer.
So if I could just build on that for a second, in terms of topics and topic modeling and all of the expertise that's around that, which is something that we spend an awful lot of time on. And when we are using the term AI, it's a very broad term. And a lot of times I hear us referring to Gen AI as opposed to inclusive of all the kinds of techniques. So Gen AI has its specialization. Others and other types of statistical methodologies can do interesting things with this data. I just want to build on an inefficiency that also comes out through all of this work around topics, because most of the time when you're in a portal, there's a drop down, and the drop down will say, what is it that you're choosing? How many times are the drop downs that you're choosing not related to what it is that you're looking for information on, which is another way of looking at those frequently asked questions. If the answer was there, you wouldn't have to go in and ask the question. That sometimes it's just a representation of what the frequently asked questions are. So you get people, they just choose. Then think about the path, right? When that choice is made, it takes you down a whole path that then frustrates you more, because it really has nothing to do with why you're going through this to begin with. And I think we all understand kind of when that happens, and it can also happen when an agent is listening and they choose a code because they're under some pressure for whatever reason, and it may not be the right code. So the topic and the expertise around extracting these topics coming directly from the narratives of what the person is saying really does drive both root cause as well as better solutions, and ultimately a big understanding of the breadth of things that are taking place that you can then plot, right, based on where the opportunity space is. And now it becomes a business strategy. And I think that's where you want to take this, so that when it becomes that business strategy, it then goes up the funnel a bit, and that feeds, I think, an improvement and a measurable improvement in the outcomes.
She loves ad takes. I think Marcia nailed about half my question, which is the frustration part. We all know there are huge high levels of frustration among consumers, but also among business users. You're only going to contact you if there's a problem or a glitch or a glitch. So the next step is you finally maybe got somebody to identify the problem. You've gotten channeled maybe to the right person to start with. Most people want what you want is somebody to solve my problem quickly. One person, one touch point. And I first heard this when he's going to date me. When AT&T broke up, the one thing businesses in this area wanted, because I interviewed a lot of them, was they wanted one touch point to solve the problems. I don't think that's changed. The way the system's set up today, you go through the first phone tree. If you go to a call center, you have somebody with a lot of scripts, which is why you ask to be escalated to the manager, who has also scripts, and then you have to get escalated to the next manager. So first piece of my question is, will AI help the agents really solve problems instead of read scripts, so they can actually solve consumer problems or the business problem? The second is sometimes it can't be solved in one go round, but you never get the same person twice. And then you have to start the whole process all over again, both business and consumer. Is AI anywhere in trained to solve those problems? How and when?
You hope so. How and enough. Difficult to understand, but I mean, I think that for surely we have, because it will free resources, bring in efficiency, so that we can use that resources in order to be more effective in solving the problem. Okay. So the reason why you have so many touch points, so many procedures, so many scripts, is just a matter of finding the right cost to serve the customers. Okay. If we are using technology that will allow us to be more efficient, we will be able to use the same resources without adding cost to solve in a better way the problem. In our roadmap, there is a sentence that says no IVR. So we are trying to build in a technology that is helping us to have enough resources in order to allow every call center to be able to answer at the first call in just 1 second to the call with an agent, human agent behind that. Okay. In this sense, technology might help, because it will allow us to free resources and give the proper solution to the customer. And the other part is, we can use technology to avoid agents to use scripts. And this, again, is the way we think that the job of the agent, the human agent, would change. Now they have the script, they answer the call, one call at a time, and they just follow the script in order to solve the procedure without having in mind the real objective, which is provide a proper customer experience. If, again, we give them tools so that they do not need to collect information, read all the things they need to know, but we collect information, we give them the information with the artificial intelligence, we allow them to be more prepared to be problem solver and to deal with empathy with the customer, to be sure that they are not just reading the script, avoiding you to ask for the manager because they are not listening to you. They are not listening to you because probably they are in a hurry because they need to close the call real quickly because they do not have time to spend with you. Okay, so if we use the technology to solve this problem, to address this issue, I believe that we can also see the artificial intelligence that is something good and not just bad or something to be dreaded.
I just want to add one more comment on that in terms of the modeling itself, because what you described is a journey, right? And the ability from a data standpoint to connect consumers that are making multiple calls and seeing what they're saying and how that's evolving and understanding where the opportunity could have been for the next time to have ended that in a different way, to remove, say, a level of escalation. Imagine when it ends up at the regulator, for example, because that's the path that it goes down, right? Then you have the opportunity to really bring it back to some type of a solution. And that is a messy data exercise, right? And so that's another whole level of evolution of how you use the information to be able to find those kinds of solutions.
One more?
One more?
I think so. I don't. Do you guys feel like we're at a point of wrapping up, or do we want to keep going?
But as a year.
No, go. That's
Grace, you brought up the word I really want to talk about, hallucinations, right? I love that word, right? We were talking about people being annoyed with the experience, but you said a lot of people are afraid. I want to get into the fear, right? Like the fear of you ask for a balance, you get the wrong balance, and you do a transaction, and it's basically you did it on bad information. And the real benefit of AI is from expansiveness. Back to that one point of contact. If you can have one AI thing answer all your questions, that's great. But as you get more expansive, AI tries to give a solution, doesn't have it, which I believe leads to hallucinations. And we all know now we have a kid chatbot product that has led to a couple of lawsuits about the chatbot telling kids hurt themselves, hurt their parents, right? That's out there in the law right now. So there's real fear. What I'd like to know is, what is the craziest hallucination you've seen? And then what do you do when you see a hallucination? How do you fix it? Is that okay? I know it's an unfair question.
I'm not sure I have a crazy hallucination story. Do you either of you?
Well, the thing that the hallucination that I received was when I tried to solve a problem for my kid at school. I tried to explain to him that he could use GPT in order to also deal with the homeworks. And the fascinating thing was that the GPT gave me an answer of the problem with all the explanation, the demonstration that really seems to be good, but it was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So was pretty scary because also my kids was looking at that, say, this is fantastic. I can do all my homework with this technology. I'm done and finished. But he learned the fact that all the answer that you can receive from GPT seems to be real, but it's wrong, might be wrong. Okay. So everybody is working on the hallucination so far. And this is also a reason for which we are not ready to use the generative AI to solve any kind of problems. Okay. We need to have someone that will supervise the answer to be sure that, especially in specific process, there will be someone that will check that. I believe the technology will improve. There are tons of billions that they could be invested in order to solve these issues. So sooner or later they'll be solved. But again, this is not yet the right moment.
On the positive side, when you point out that it made a mistake, it's very polite and apologetic. Yeah, it wasn't always.
Trust me, let's try again.
I'll just add super quickly. I know we're at the wrap up, but I think the hallucinations and like why that is so scary right now is we're talking about financial services, correct? Like, and if those mistakes are can be much scarier and have much larger consequences than, say, an AI chatbot on Nordstrom's or Macy's. They tell you as a pants. Yes, the signs of pants. They tell you your shirt's in stock. It's really out of stock. Like, the consequences are much bigger, which is why it's so important to get it right before we start the implementation.
So I want to thank you guys for engaging with really robust questions and for this themes. This is what I had as sort of the main takeaways, is that we are not in a point of a wholesale use environment, that defining surgical use cases that are customer value and centric driven is critical. That this is about it. We're in a moment of trust building, both on the subject matter expertise and knowledge and data that you get from the process, into to be able to hopefully over time evolve beyond the script. But that takes a subject matter. And in order to solve problems, we are going to have to face some of the risks and do it gradually, looking at how we build the confidence and as the technology evolves. So, anything else that you guys want to add?
I was going to add one that Smile SX is a combination with the generative AI to have the best solution.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for the thanks.
So before you leave, first I can thank you for being here and having the great problem solving, and thank you all for the panelists. I think this was a very fruitful discussion, and I was personally enjoying it a lot. If you allow me, I have one final comment and two invitations. One final comment. I kept hearing, and I wanted to stress one point. I kept hearing Gen AI can bring personalization and can bring cost effectiveness, but we are not ready. The clients are not ready. The companies are not ready, kind of scared, the system and process broken, and the technology is not ready, Alex Inishi. And that's why in Covision, we are truly believer of two things. One, as of now, you cannot abandon the client to Gen AI and to AI. You need to have always an agent supervising it, up to the level, as Fabio was saying, that the agent always welcome the client first in the direction of personalization, and in some use cases, you need to have the empathy to understand if the client needs to speak with an agent, or if that client, I'm thinking, for example, to my mom, can speak to a bot in some situation. It's even for the same use case, maybe the person is not there. So you can never abandon the client, and sometimes up to the level that we have the capability to have always an agent welcoming the client and understanding selectively whether to be able to send to a bot and when. And the second truly believe is that Gen AI is not ready, and AI is not ready to create automation for a full journey, but selectively for some task and some portion of the interaction with the client, yes. So why don't we selectively use it? Because this goes in the direction of cost efficiency, quality, and having anyway an agent able to multitask. So with these two beliefs, I leave you with two invites. One, for those who didn't see yet our demo, you will see these two beliefs in action over there. And two, we have at the end a Prosecco and a Panettone to celebrate Christmas, and given we are Italian, you know, Panettone comes from Italy. So that's the way to thank you once more for being here and discussing with us. Thank you and enjoy.
And thank you to our partners here in making it possible.
Porta 3 di corpo dell'IDE.
Bit of faith.